sidled up with that self-serving war pig. She oinked poison in your ear and you just ate it. I know!
Easy, boy. Your fans already hate her. She has practically become the main villain of this season, hasn't she? Hi there, I'm Qui-dam, your depressing as hell expert in human inner world. And today I'm gonna analyze Caitlyn and show that she's neither good nor bad, but just a human. Our plan is the next. She came from a strict family with high standards and parents who knew better what was good for her. That pressure alongside giving her much attention have raised up two personalities, a spoiled mongoose and a misfit girl. A sudden loss of her mother creates a void instead of an emotional cage she has always lived in. She's lost because she has little experience in making decisions not against someone's will, but for herself. However, deep inside, this misfit girl wants to be accepted for who she really is. So, let's start. Rich, famous family with ambitions and respect. She's the only beloved daughter and everything looks quite ideal. Her parents support her hobby, are terribly worried if she's missed, and take into account her opinion.
Caitlyn's right.
But let's look closer. Her family is really strict. They can decide who is the right friend to her. Remember what her father says when Jace fails.
My dad says you're a misfit, and that we can't be friends anymore.
By the way, he reacts the same way towards Vi's appearance in their house.
What is she still doing here?
Which shows us that it's his usual behavior towards the people he thinks are not suitable for his daughter. And little Caitlyn can do nothing about that.
Come inside, Caitlyn. Now.
Even though Chase seems to be her only friend, just obeying, or she will lose their love. Actually, that's the thing that frightens children the most. To lose the love of their parents, despite the fact how they behave towards the children, how unfair they might be. Because a child can't protect themselves just yet, and depends on their parents.
Thanks, but I already have a job.
No, you don't. After the attack, your parents spoke to the sheriff.
Caitlyn's parents can also decide which job is good for her, even though she's a grown-up woman right now. At the same time, they are trying to give her the best things in their realities.
Did my parents pay you to let me win?
And that gives Caitlyn half a chance to explore the world and to understand what she truly wishes.
Begs the question, young Cairman. What are you shooting for?
Call it overprotection, call it overindulgence, but the core is the same. They know better how she should live her life. So what do we have here? Another mixed signal. The stable behavior raised up two personalities in Caitlyn, or two partners of behavior, two inner parts, as you wish. The first one is a misfit girl.
I'm a misfit too, I suppose.
She wants her parents' love. She wants to be accepted. She wants to play cheerfully with her parents and to be free to explore the world. But this girl is considered to be a misfit in her strict family. That's why she creates a protector, a mechanism of surviving. Her second inner part is a spoiled mongoose.
Mongoose?
Jokes aside, it's actually quite a tragic story for a little girl. This is her way to contact with the world, with her parents at first and with others as a projection. She's a fighter for her rights. Well, actually she fights against someone's will, cause she's not sure who she is and doesn't know what she wants or needs.
And what do I have?
But she's sure that her world treats her wrong. And so that's why she fights against the world, to prove that she's worth being accepting. And also, by the way, that's the reason why she's so hardworking.
You did all this yourself? Without even going down there? And I thought Powder could get obsessed.
She tests the world by each step, because she's insecure about her own status in her own family. Beloved or a misfit? She tests it every time. It becomes some sort of game for her. If I do this, will you still accept me? At the same time, she tricks the world to get some fresh air for her misfit girl. And actually, she's quite good at it, being slippery, I mean. Look at this scene, how easily she could play a new for her role.
Imagine the gardens. This is all I've seen.
She behaves strict sometimes, as her parents. Well, they were a good example. Her motto is, I have decided, and you need to face the consequences of my actions.
I am a decorated officer, leader of House Kiraman. Address me with respect, or keep your mouth shut.
So, how do we know these patterns of behavior are developing deeper? She becomes an enforcer.
She'd do anything to keep me from seeing the real world.
It's like becoming an official and working for the government with strict hierarchy. The same pressure, the same expectation. The person must obey the rules for the greater good, sacrificing themselves. And Caitlyn is choosing this path, this emotional cage again, because at that time, this is who she is, a fighter against the world. What's funny and more dramatic is actually that she becomes more misfit there. Her colleagues are from a different reality, and to be honest, they treat her as an unwelcome princess.
Don't you have a cocktail party to attend?
And she's actually really bad at following the rules, and that's why her boss...
Why does that not surprise me? Interfering in an investigation again.
Hates her, kinda. And no wonder. Isn't it ironic, by the way? She who chooses to become an enforcer to protect the world and to solve the most terrifying problems of their society is breaking the main rules of this world that are invented to manage the risks. She leaves her past, she interferes in not her business, investigates on her own, lies to the prison chief, forges orders from a counselor, releases a prisoner. And it's not the behavior of a goody-two-shoes girl enforcer. So she's projecting her inner battle with her parents onto the world. And if in season 1 it seems to be quite, let's say, innocent and good for the plot, in season 2 it makes a great effect on the whole city. By the way, would you really like if a friend of yours uses your name to release a prisoner without even telling you a word? Losing her mother creates a really great void inside of her.
She dies and leaves this giant hole, and I'm just supposed to fill it.
But it's not only about the grief. It's also about losing her familiar conditions, her emotional cage where little Caitlyn is fighting against the world. And since she hasn't finished solving her inner conflict and found out who she is, she finds herself in a desperate state. She doesn't have her cage anymore. She's free, but she doesn't know what to do with this freedom because she has little experience in deciding on her own for herself. Speaking nerdy, the Gestalt is still opened. It hasn't been formed yet, and the situation is unsolved. But Caitlyn wants to finish it, and that's why she needs the same conditions to go the same scenario and to finally end it. That's the reason why she's finding herself in another cage. She becomes the commander. By the way, it's the same mechanism as in codependency or trauma healing, when you put yourself in the same conditions in order to override the scenario, the past situation, to solve it. And that's also why she's so angry at Jinx.
Move! She's not getting away again.
Cait.
She's kind of making Jinx responsible not only for her mother's death, but for her unsolved inner conflict. And I know, you can say that, well, it was Jinx who actually shot, and Caitlyn has all the right to hate her. Yes, I agree, but we're looking here a little bit deeper for this, additional deep feelings. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so obsessed.
How was Jinx involved?
But in reality, she's angry at herself, at her inner girl who behaved the way she wanted to do.
No more rogue mission. No more reckless plans. My mother was right. My arrogance led me to take on more than I could handle, and she paid the price.
Perhaps here she thinks, if I were a good girl, like my mother always wanted me to be, if I were good enough, that won't happen. And that's why I need to prove myself even harder. The Revenge, the Operation, the new title, all of this is to fill the void with the same pressure and the same meaning she has always had, fighting against the world and proving that she is worth being accepted. She's looking for a substitute for her mother to feel the same way, and finds it in Ambessa. And it's a really unique and intriguing dynamics. At first sight, they are playing mother and daughter. Ambessa lost Mel, Caitlyn lost Cassandra, but they have far more in common. Ambessa was looking for a warrior in her daughter, but Mel didn't want to play that role, while Caitlyn is willing. And that's the thing that is really important to Ambessa, because she sees her own reflection in Caitlyn, a child who lost everything and who could do nothing to protect the family. That's why she's so warm towards Caitlyn.
Yes?
And eager to teach her how to fight for herself. The things she wants were done for her when she needed this help. And that's the reason why Caitlyn actually appreciates her and her actions.
I've learned so much from her.
It is something that she lacked in her childhood, in her relationship with her parents. An open dialogue about the surviving. That treatment, alongside Maddie's admiration, create a really comfortable, emotional situation for Caitlyn's psyche, so she can finally stop and start thinking and reflecting. By the way, choosing Maddie as her sex partner is kinda another attempt to recreate the familiar conditions. Maddie adores her as her parents did, seeing an ideal picture and demanding ideal behavior. Caitlyn likes being loved, but she doesn't allow Maddie to make a hero out of herself. Look how she reacts. She switched on her protective mode immediately when Maddie is pushing her to become the leader.
Besides, a withdrawal could lead to a worse situation than the one that...
Okay, Ambessa.
She's not prepared for this, and she needs some time to evaluate the situation on her own, because that's what she truly is, and that's who she has always wanted to become, the leader of her life.
Months of peacekeeping occupation. Countless operations. Oceans of sweat and tears. I'd begun to think we might finally see an end to Zorn's perverse abominations. How foolish was I?
Soon enough, it turns out that life is not an endless operation to keep pace and stability, like in her relationships with her parents. The more she's pushing herself, the stronger her resistance. She's starting to realize the situation.
Why is peace always the justification for violence?
She's starting to protect her ideas.
You're a monster. Why? Why do all this?
She doesn't want to sacrifice herself anymore, and finally, she stands up for herself. To be honest, when she betrays Ambessa, she behaves the same way as always, as a spoiled mongoose.
Mongoose?
Maybe one day she will need to fix it. Well, she could have at least tried to discuss the situation with Ambessa before, kicking her. So she's practically now at the same moment when she took Vi to her house and stood up for herself openly against her mother. If we're talking about her patterns of behavior. And that's so fucking depressing because she just repeated the same scenario and practically haven't developed that, no.
Mongoose? Don't sugarcoat it, cupcake.
One phrase and her heart is captured again. Okay. Now we know that she has done a great job to reach that point. From creating a void inside her, filling it, and recreating the same conditions she always had to, well, it's not overcoming her scenario, but it was a good try. Let's talk about something positive. Vi. Vi is her choice. She is overwriting her own scenario with the help of Vi. And while she could do nothing with JC's situation but obey her parents, she is speaking openly against her mother's assumption about Vi and their little adventure.
My actions! You know what else reflects on the council? It's citizens living on the streets, being poisoned, having to choose between a kingpin who wants to exploit them in a government that doesn't give a shit. Caitlyn!
She stops her father from being rude to Vi, and now she's helping her out against Ambessa's plans. Instead of being a girl who hides herself and secretly rebelling against the world, she creates a new way of a hero who lives the way she wants to live. But why is it her? I mean, Vi. There are actually 3 reasons. The first one, Vi creates a perfect condition for Caitlyn, where Cait can feel both safe enough,
You almost got me killed.
and behave spontaneously,
Yes.
creatively, and on her own, the way her inner girl has always wanted. She doesn't need to switch on her spoiled mongoose side and to fight against the world, cause this role, the protector, is played by Vi. The second, Vi respects her, and she's giving her some space to understand the situation, to evaluate it, and to decide on her own. And by the way, that's something that Maddie can give her, being a partner. Maddie admires her and insists on taking the next step and making herself the leader Maddie sees in her, while Vi pauses and stays by her side, taking into account her emotional state. And the third, the last one, Cait sees the same misfit girl as she has in Vi.
It's wrong what's been done to you.
The one who is treated wrong. Actually, Caitlyn projects her desire to protect herself onto Vi, and she's willing to sacrifice her familiar, stable cage to do so. That's why Caitlyn trusts Vi so much and shows her her vulnerable side. They are a really good match, healing each other.
Sometimes I'd get carried away and she'd get scared.
Finally, since you love or hate Caitlyn that much, say, are you two working that hard to prove the world that you deserve to be accepted for who you are? The next video will be about Victor and Jinx, and also I'm planning to do the second part for Vi and for Caitlyn. So if you don't want to miss it, please subscribe. Also, this structural analysis was based on my theory of anything, and you can watch it and learn about it in these videos. And I hope it will help you a little bit to explore your inner world. And if you want to support me, link is on my page. See you later, guys.